Delegate AC Cordoza, still representing the 86th district in Virginia State Legislature in the House of Delegates. Welcome back again. Good to have you with me.
Thank you. Good to be here, Sam.
Off camera, we were talking about one of the one consistent challenge. There's always one piece of legislation in the General Assembly. It's always going to be there. There are a lot of bills, but there's always one particular one, the budget. And keeping a balanced budget. Explain to the viewers how Virginia manages, despite all odds and all challenges, I'm sure, that you faced during a session, to somehow produce a document that says we're in balance and we did not spend more than we took in. Can you take us through that process and explain how that somehow always works out?
Absolutely. Well, Sam, really the biggest way we make sure that we have a balanced budget is that we take it out of the entire General Assembly's hands and put it into the hands of the Appropriations Committee in the House and the Senate Finance Committee. And really, even though we all get to put in things, really the budget is up to those members. And taking it out of all of the 140 members' hands to be able to take this much money and that much money and this much money, we kind of make sure that it's in the more trusted, seasoned, money savvy hands of the General Assembly instead of all of our hands for all of our districts wanting all of our little things.
And if I may interject to clarify, if people are not aware, when you said 140, you're referring to the 100 members of the House of Delegates and the 40 members of the state Senate.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. And with those two committees, say the most knowledgeable and seasoned and experienced with the financial matters. Fine enough. So they're working on it. What happens from there?
So we first start with the governor's introduced budget. And I will tell you that is going to be chopped and added, and it is just a starting point. It's never going to be what actually goes through. So it goes to the House. The House budget is usually the one that's chosen as the vehicle. But the Senate has their version of the budget, the House has their version of the budget, and the governor has his version of the budget. And so each of us build our priorities based on what our members want and what the appropriations and the Senate Finance Committees pick as the priorities. And then we vote on those things. They are never in agreement, so they automatically go into conference. Yeah, it's just like I was discussing with you before about the conference process. And the conferees are picked from the Appropriations Committee and the Senate Finance Committee. And they meet and get locked in a room and they go to work, and then we pass a budget and the governor gets it and he says no and puts his amendments on, and then we do that process kind of again. And it's really after the moments when you can introduce what you'd like, unless you're in appropriations or Senate finance is out of your hands. You get to vote on the final project, and that's about it.
And the governor has what I believe the common term we use is line item authority. So he can strike a given item and also add a given item. He is not bound to just accept the whole thing, yay or nay. He can tinker with it even after both of these committees have created their document. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Our governor is one of the most, if not the most powerful governor in the nation. So having that line item authority is indispensable. He is in himself his own separate branch of the legislature. He can say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that word, I don't like that number, this number, this number, this number, this number. And then we have to either basically override his amendment and hope he'll accept it, and hopefully he doesn't veto it, and he may veto it. And then we have to all come together and override his veto, or what he says goes.
And to pass any bill in either house is a simple majority, but you use the word override, delegate, which means each house independently has to override by 2/3, or the two houses combined have to override it by 2/3.
No, it has to be each house. Each house has to independently
Separate.
override by 2/3. So it needs I couldn't tell you how many senators off the top of my head, but we need 67, 67 members of the House have to say we are going to override him, plus of course the 2/3 of the Senate to
About
make that
27 or 28, somewhere in there, I guess.
something like that. Yeah. And then it'll be overwritten. And that is a very rare thing. It's happened. It's
Mhm,
happened where a governor's veto has been overridden, but
mhm.
very rarely are we gonna, even if it's not our party, it's just not usually feasible to override a government.
The state budget of Virginia is a biennial budget, so it's good for a 2-year period of time, not just a 1-year period. Am I correct on that, Delegate? Um, let's see, we are frozen here. Did you
Yes.
hear me on that?
No, no, it did not. I heard the state budget and then it froze.
Okay, the state budget, we'll take that question over from the top that said that it is my understanding that the state budget is a biennial budget, which means it's a 2-year budget, not just a 1-year budget. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. It is a 2-year budget with a caboose budget, which is basically the second year we make some tweaks based on the money we actually received versus what we anticipated. And we eat up that money, or we put that money in savings, or we say, hey, we don't have enough money, so we need to cut some things. We can't pay for some things this year. And that's really the caboose budget. And it's a lesser form of the big budget. The big biennial first year budget is that huge sausage making process. The caboose budget's kind of, we have a budget, this is just an amendment kind of thing.
Well, I must thank you on 2 counts on this, Delegate. 1, your explanation of the budget process, and 2, this new fancy legislative and parliamentary term I have learned, caboose. I'm going to have to check the parliamentary dictionary. I did not know that one had been added, but I have learned something today myself as well. Thanks as always for your time. It is much appreciated.
Thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate it.